It's Justin Scoop on Monday, November 10th, 2025, and we're looking at SPX. So the purple lines here are the lines that I drew matched up with the thumbnail from Friday's video from the 7th. So go back and watch that one if you're not clear on where these are from. But we gapped up right in between, almost in the middle, or I guess the bottom, or kind of the third. If we break this into thirds, maybe. So we opened here, ran up, didn't get up to this one, didn't get down to this one. And then at one point we were kind of poking our head above and just kind of sitting on it. And then we rallied into the close. So a couple of things I was looking at. Let's zoom in on the daily first. So there's a really nice midline level that looked like we bounced off of really, really, really well. Again, it's the midline is just a little bit above the purple line, and then we ended up running through the purple line, getting a close above the wicks on these days, getting above the lows from over here, which is kind of where some of this level came from, the lows over here. So it looks strong again. This turns out to be a really great hammer at a great location. Oh, one thing I didn't show, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. One thing I didn't show last week on Friday when I was going through this is, nope, that's not the right chart. Where is the right chart? Here it is. Okay, give me a sec to pull this over. And I got a bunch of other stuff on this chart, so bear with me. Okay, and I just didn't show this, but here is TradingView, which I have shown this consolidation that I was tracking with the big bear candle, and we were consolidating inside of this, and then we retested. Where is the annotate tool? Okay, so we're talking about this consolidation here. What day was it? There was a day that we traded really far down here. SPX doesn't trade down there after hours. Doesn't trade after hours at all. It did trade, well, SPY traded on there. SPX 500. The ES traded on there. Whatever it was. Anyway, we consolidated and we bounced right there and went up with somewhat of a hammer-ish sort of candle, and then we retest again with this one. So this is kind of the second retest of like this consolidation. So both of them, you could say, are back into the range of the last candle, that candle. This one a little bit lower, obviously taking out anybody who had a stop just below that one. But it's still just all of this still fits that, hey, we're going up, we're going bullish. And then today's gap up and then a close above these wicks, again, just looks really, really strong bullish. So hope you're in something bullish and you're playing it bullish. So there's that. Let me move that back out of the way and then we'll get back to this chart. Okay. Actually, we're going to go to the 3 minute. So with this choppiness in between, it's like, what are you looking for? What are the levels in here? So I'm seeing kind of a multi-top through here. And it did not have the strength to get above these wicks. It didn't really set up a trap. If this wick was a little bit higher, that would have been a trap. This would have been a high, a hesitate, and a trap. And it didn't even do that. It did sort of do that on the low side. So a low, and then I'm going to call this a hesitate, and then a trap, because it did end up going a little bit lower. I really wanted it to come down in here. But this was a great setup. It's kind of consolidated here, had a little false breakout, still consolidating, and then just ripped higher. If you look at this, if you kind of squish this, it kind of looks like a double bottom. And then here's your neckline retest, and there's the run up. And so this was right through the 11 o'clock hour, 11 a.m. I was heading into a meeting at 11 a.m. and I'm like, okay, this is running. I'm just going to tighten up a stop and I'll be stopped out if it pulls back, and it pulled back more than I wanted it to. And the options, it pulled back quite a bit. I ended up getting stopped out. Do I have my stuff? What time was that? At 11:10, which is the same as the date. Fancy that. I think on that candle. So just the amount of premium kind of given up by that candle it didn't even pull back to my entry. My entry was over here at 1040, wherever that was. I entered on that candle. I got too many lines in here. Okay. And I'll show you the trade. So I was in on this candle, and I think I got stopped out on that candle because I got my stop pretty tight, just well, not super tight in the option, but I'll show you. Because it was running, and if I had just left it alone and gone to the meeting and gotten out of the meeting around noon, sometime afternoon, it would have hit my target. So back up, I think somewhere into this range here. So we'll look at that. So let's finish framing out the run up here. So we ran up. Obviously, we're pushing through this resistance and made a new high in the day. And it'll be a little bit before we make all-time high. Broke out, retested, broke out, kind of retested. Now we're just riding the 21, right? We're pushing through the purple line here, and we're chopping around on it, and we get going again. And then the next kind of place that there was some pulling back was these three candles here, kind of putting in a bit of a stair step or rest after battle, and then it kept pushing higher here, back into the 21, back into the 21, and so very, very bullish day. I didn't even realize they had a squeeze going on during this. That's cool. Okay, so let's jump over to the call. Actually, let's look at put first. So this is where we started rollover. Um, losing the annotate tool. So we put in that kind of a base. Those are the highs on SPX. Now here's the 67.75 put, and you could have been buying this. Like it was even this far away. It was kind of choppy. Uh, kind of give it some, got to give it some more room. So I don't know if you could have risked $100, uh, possibly buying at like 350 by 250, something like that could have worked. But it's also just really good to look for a low. Like, hey, here's a low. What if I can get in at or below that low, and then just get in there and if you got the right sentiment, and it may work. But you're the one clicking the buttons, so make sure you understand what you're doing. But let's say you bought at, I don't even know what the low price was here. Let's say the low was 3.10 and you set up to buy at 3.10. Yeah, but you may have been able to be filled at 3. So buy at 3.10 and at least run back up to this, the open, that would have been 10. So buying at 3.10 up to 10, that would have been a nice gain, risking $100. This one ran up to 15.6. I mean, if I'm watching it run up, actually probably would have hit the target on this candle before I could have moved it. But yeah, it would have been nice to move from 10 up to 13.10 or 13 or something like that. And then this rolled over. So the same thing we're seeing here, where we've got a high and then a hesitate. And then this is what I was calling the trap. This candle, that upper wick didn't get higher than this one on the option. And then I said squint, and you can kind of see like a double top here, breakdown, neckline retest. Well, this retested, got a little bit of a gap, a little bit, not a gap, but a space in between those. So yeah, it just wasn't clean on the put, but you can still be looking at the put to give you kind of a framework for what's going to happen or what you can anticipate happening on the call. So this is the 6800 call. We're going to just kind of map out the same thing. So you've got some highs over here. It's kind of relative highs or stepping down, lower highs, something like that. So we put in somewhat of a consolidation here or a slight downtrend there, broke down, retested, broke down some more. And then it's like, okay, this looks like it could be pulling back, it could be basing, what are we doing in here? So, what's happening in these levels? So I set up an entry by at 3, almost got stopped out way down here. And then great consolidation of the option. That started to run right before I was going to the meeting. It's like, okay, I'm just going to tighten up my stop. And I did it. Actually, I did it when it was way up here. It's like I should have just exited at 8 because I had a chance to do that. And I tightened the stop. And I set it at 6. Yeah, I set it at 6, and I realized after it's like, oh, that's right at that high. It's like I'm going to get stopped out or trailed out because it was a game. So that pulled back to around 4. And again, my stop originally was down at 2. So I should have just been good with that entry and risk. and it was still plenty above it. Just let it go. And my target was 13. So 13 is somewhere up here, which would have been actually back kind of below, so back around that. So it would have worked great. And actually, had I not been in a meeting and had been able to watch this, um, it would have run up here, and I think it would have moved slow enough. It's like that's going. Everything looks like it's going to move up into the purple lines, and that's much further like up here sort of level. So why don't I just take this 13 and double the range? So I'm in at 3, stop at 2, and go to 23. Why don't I just target 23 somewhere up here? I like to double the oops, that wasn't quite it. Double the, and then we're on the fib, or the log scale, not the fib, we're on the log scale. So going from 3 to 13, it's like that's a great target, but what if we could do 23? And even by the end of the day, it got up to 41 something. So it's like you could even gone for 33 and triple your target. So anyway, uh yeah. So I got trailed out at 6, had a little slippage, so 5.9. So $100 risk, and got just under $300 just with a per contract. And yeah, had it over again. It's like, okay, let's just let this thing run because we had the right sentiment, had the right idea of what it was doing, just with the setup and just with the framework. Click on the wrong thing. Just with this framework and these levels, trading off of that today. And this is kind of looking at this. This kind of looks more like, I don't know, this was looking like a shoulder and a head. And then if that's, wow, that was really bad. Okay, shoulder, head. If that's a shoulder, like, is that the neckline? I mean, that could be the whole shoulder. Then a measured move off the neckline would be like what, here to here. And so we take that up and we're going like there. I mean, 69.50 maybe. I don't know. I don't know how to measure it when it's that steep of an angle. So anyway, let's give it another day. See what happens. All right. Hope this helps. This is Justin. Thanks.